Welcome to Realtree Global Hunting on Team Wild TV. This week we bring you a very special episode looking at hunting and poaching in the African nation of Mozambique. Our very own Ian Harford spent 10 days out in Mozambique last autumn and experienced hunting in the wilds of Africa. No fences, no creature comforts and nothing certain.
If you want a hunting safari with white fluffy pillows, air-conditioned rooms and widescreen TVs, then friends, this ain't for you.
Hunting in Mozambique is not for the faint-hearted.
Right, let's get the sticks, we've shot him.
Just get your money. Just get your gun. Don't run.
Yeah.
Good. Well done, man. That's the word of that. Good job.
What a rush, man. That you just saw back then, bluff charged by the herd. Obviously one of their owners down, just trying to protect it. But for this guy, it was already too late.
Ian took a variety of beautiful African game on his trip and met some colourful characters along the way. However, hunting in this part of the world is not a simple case of turn up and shoot what you see. Due to the difficult recent history of Mozambique, there's strict management guidelines in place and a lot of work goes into keeping the animal numbers at healthy levels. Mozambique lies in southeast Africa, on the Indian Ocean, bordered by Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Swaziland and South Africa.
There's no hills or mountains here in Mahimba. It's pretty much flat as far as the eye can see. These anthills are the highest pieces of land for miles around. In fact, during the rainy season, they're the only high points which are still exposed from the water. Hunters have been known as they've come early season to Mahimba to burn off the tall grass, to find hundreds of carcasses of warthogs, that as the waterline has encroached on their natural habitat, has forced them up on top of the anthills. They've eaten all the vegetation around, leaving a bare cap, and then finally, when there's nothing left, they've just laid down and died.
This vast nation has had its fair share of ups and downs in the past. After 400 years under Portuguese rule, Mozambique finally gained its independence in 1975. Unfortunately, after only 2 short years of their own rule, the country descended into a violent and bloody civil war that lasted 15 years. However, in the last decade, Mozambique has been hailed as a major success story as their economy has grown at a blistering pace. Despite their apparent success, Mozambique does rank amongst the lowest countries for GDP per capita, human development, measures of inequality and average life expectancy. There's also been a chronic rise of child malnutrition in the face of GDP growth. With Great Depression, civil war and poverty has come desperation. The once vast and plentiful herds of African animals that roam the beautiful Mozambique wilderness have all but disappeared. The once world-famous Gorongosa National Park saw its animal numbers depleted during and following the bloody civil war, as hunting for bushmeat became a necessity to live. Elephant, hippo, waterbuck and zebra numbers all dwindled to dangerously low levels. Buffalo, common wildebeest, eland, sable and hartebeest were all but gone. Now, the plains of Mozambique are beginning to fill with wildlife once again, thanks to good management and hard work from people such as JP Kleinens and his team. JP and his team may operate a hunting camp deep in the wilderness of Mozambique, but killing animals is not their main goal. Instead, JP ensures that every animal herd stays strong, numbers are at good sustainable levels, and that the entire community is behind what they're doing. On first viewing, and judging a book by its cover, hunting may seem like just killing, but in fact, It's all about rejuvenation, game management and building strong herds. Some of the actions taken here are a case of being cruel to be kind. The guys here at Mahimba burn large areas of elephant grass each year, and they spread like wildfire. However, the burns may not look pretty, it may leave areas dusty, but they have a purpose.
With all of the soot and ash and dust here, it's pretty hard going. It's really hot and it's really dry. And walking behind Gavin adds new meaning to eat my dust.
The elephant grass takes a lot of the moisture out of the ground, dwarfs other plants and dominates everything around it. And with it gone, all the plants can blossom.
So it may look like this riverbed is completely dry, but appearances can be deceptive. This here is what these, the pigs and the bush bug and the reed bug are coming to feed on. With all of this old grass, the tall grass burned down, the new shoots start to germinate and come through, and there's a luscious green grass underneath there. So within a couple of weeks with a heavy morning dew, this will be almost like a carpet of green grazing.
JP also provides year-round jobs for over 70 people despite the hunting season only consisting of a few months. On top of the work, he provides each member of staff with 2 sets of clothes and 1 pair of boots. The remaining food taken from each animal after they've taken enough for the camp goes to the local villages. This way, JP can manage and maintain the herds without too much fear of poachers from local villages. If the local people have work, food and clothing, they'd want for little else. And these guys know all the tricks to surviving in the harsh climate and the difficult conditions faced in Mozambique.
Africa is a very tough place, but nature will always provide something for you. If you want to stay hydrated, this is what happens in Mozambique. There's always some sort of nutrition and water.
So as you can see, as Gavin said, when you come to somewhere like Africa, water is absolutely vital. You've got to stay hydrated throughout the day. But nature always has a way of providing. And this vine here, as you can see, they've cut it, and it's carrying water. You can fill up your water bottle from there, pure, fresh and clear. How much would one of these vines typically carry?
It would take about 2-3 meters. It would give you like half a litre of water.
Finding clean, fresh water in Mozambique could be the difference between life and death should something go wrong in the bush. In this remote part of Mozambique, JP's Mahimba camp is the only source of employment for these people. The ground is very dry, therefore not much good for crops, and the river is infested with crocodiles. There's very little opportunity to make a living to feed a family. Although, incredibly, some brave the waters to put out the nets. JP knows that the local people live and breathe this area, knowing the animals, their patterns and how to track them. Techniques passed down through generations of native people here in Mozambique.
We're driving around and we're looking for tracks, and if you can see around here, there's fairly fresh tracks. So what we do is we look at the tracks. The trackers can determine more or less how long the tracks were when they came past here. And then what happens is you walk around till you find some, if it's the cooler it is, obviously the longer they've been here.
Yeah.
I mean, they physically stick their finger in there and say, listen, okay, no, this is about 5-6 hours, and the warmer it gets, absolutely,
But it's incredible that you can tell the time of day, because they just said 6 o'clock a.m.
Yeah.
20 buffalo came through here.
Yeah.
This is an incredible skill these guys have got.
Yeah, you see, they absolutely, I want to say they're 24/7, 340 days a year they're in this veld. If they're not hunting, they're doing the anti-poaching. Mm-hmm. So they absolutely know these animals, what they do.
It's like a sixth sense.
It's absolutely, they know.
So what time is it now?
It's now 9:15.
So we're only 3 hours and 15 minutes behind them. So we better get on then, yeah?
Let's go.
From the smallest signs, the trackers at Mahimba led Ian and JP to a huge herd of buffalo, where Ian took a cow for the table. His buffalo and Gavin's earlier that day were taken for a very special purpose.
So it's day 7 at Mahimba, and we've got a very special task that's been assigned to us. It's a local village's centenary celebrations this weekend, and Mahimba have given them 2 buffalo cows for meat for the celebrations. Now they wanted 2 incredibly experienced, accurate marksmen, world-class hunters to take out these buffalo. They weren't available, so myself and Gavin, we've stepped up to the task. So are you ready?
I'm sure they're all ready.
So Gavin's going to shoot straight-ish, and I'm going to be there to back him up, and then hopefully he's going to repay the favour.
Without Mahimba, these people in the local villages would have little or no option but to hunt for bushmeat. Poaching and hunting for bushmeat will surely see the complete decimation of the animal herds in this area as people struggle to live. But JP is working towards eradicating poaching from the areas surrounding Mahimba, as Ian found out.
What you can see behind me here is one of the anti-poaching camps here at Mahimba. Now there's 4 camps in total employing 36 people whose sole task is to head out into the bush and find any sign of poaching, be it a camp, be it sticks, be it snares, and hopefully catch some poachers. Now here's very much a story of poacher turned gamekeeper, because the best anti-poaching staff are actually previous poachers themselves. They know exactly where to find the snares, they know exactly where to set up the snares for the best chance of catching game. Now, as it happens, without the hunting, poaching is the only way that these guys can get access to meat. But with all the commercial hunting that Mahimba now brings in, all of the meat, the buffalo, the sable, the waterbuck, whatever plains game is shot, the meat is provided back to the anti-poaching camps and also the surrounding villages. Without the hunting in place, these guys wouldn't have enough to eat and therefore would need to go out and then harvest their own bounty. So these anti-poaching camps not only protect the game here from poachers, they're also an essential part of the management program here. Without these anti-poaching camps in place, all of the game would be killed. There wouldn't be an animal left here at Mahimba. So they're providing not only an essential service, but they're also ensuring the success of the game for future generations. Let's go follow that. So what you can see here, there's a snare that was made by local poachers. As you can see behind me, there's a game trail which goes from the bush and then out, and it's probably used by bushbuck and waterbuck and all manner of things. So what they've done is they've fastened it to a heavier stick and then looped this between those 2 smaller sticks over there. And this looks pretty fresh.
Yeah, this looks probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's after the burn.
So after the grass has obviously been burned down, they've come back in and then they put the snares out. So Gavin, this is a massive problem here.
Yeah, that's a massive, and that's why, it sounds silly, but that's what the hunting industry is preventing, is the animals being snared. For us, we need to make sure that there's still animals for the future, and these oaks that snare, they'll be each and every day out there snaring, carrying the meat away, and so that's why we've got 4 anti-poaching teams running here, constantly looking for snares and that. It has come down to a great amount, but I mean, still you can see this was burnt about 3-4 weeks back, and it's a new snare.
And the funny thing is, the hunting, or they're taking game, it means that not only are you employing the people, poachers come gamekeepers or anti-poachers for want of a better description, but also they get the meat anyway. So once we've hunted it, somebody's paying to put money back into the community, giving jobs to locals, and the game that we shoot goes back to the locals as well.
No, absolutely. All the meat that doesn't get used in camp to a certain extent, everything goes back into the community and to the smaller villages. I mean, you'll see, with like the hippo, you'll have 15, 20 of the local community coming into, and they know, listen, the meat is going to come to the village.
So let's hope we don't find too many of these lying around.
We found this old poacher's camp here. It's probably luckily about 2 years old, but they caught a young waterbuck, and what they'll do is they'll build these little wooden frame. They take wood and they make fire under it, and they smoke dry them, smoke cure it, and then once they do that, then they'll start to carry it off back to the village or something.
So there's a few old bones over there. So how much poaching is there here now?
Man, there is not a dangerous game area in Africa that don't have poaching. That's unfortunately everybody does. It all depends on how well you treat your anti-poaching staff and that. At the moment it's not bad. I mean, this is obviously 2 years old, so this year it's not bad. 2 years ago the previous company didn't do the amount of anti-poaching that we're doing, and obviously there were more poaching then than now. But
so how many guys do you employ full time to stop the poaching?
At the moment we've got 35, so we actually have 4 teams of 8 guys on the north, east, south and west corners. And they patrol towards each other every day, and giving them uniforms and clothes every season. They've got 2-way radios to talk to each other, and digital cameras. If they find something, they'll take pictures of it to keep a record on what's going on.
How many snares and traps do they find each year?
This year they probably found, I would say, about 50-60 snares, which is not bad. In a bad year they'll take 300-400 down. But again, if you just look after your guys, you know, unfortunately, some of the companies don't look after anti-poaching teams, and anti-poaching teams sometimes have to poach to meat, you know, to live on. So it's not always their fault. But if you look after the guys, they'll look after you.
Yeah. So obviously, as soon as a game becomes high density, then the poachers will follow it, right?
Yes, of course. But I mean, again, it's normally on your boundaries or on the rivers, so it's fairly easy. You know, the anti-poaching teams know. You know, a lot of our anti-poaching guys are former poachers, so you know, they know the way those guys think. They know the routes in and out. So the best thing you can do is to find a poacher and, you know, change him and get him to be on your anti-poaching team, and that works like a champ. Employ people, because unemployment is a huge problem here. So
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? These guys need to feed themselves.
and their families.
So if you feed them and clothe them and give them a reason to stop the poaching, then
Exactly.
it turns the circle.
Hunters make, if we didn't hunt this area, the photographic, there's just nothing here, you know, as far as that goes. So if we didn't hunt in this area, there would be nothing left. Nothing's guys like you guys that come and spend money here, that, you know, we can afford to pay them. All that money trickles down to their families at the end. They still get the meat, they get a commercial value of animals, so they look after animals, look after the area.
As soon as game becomes a commodity, it has value.
100%.
All right, okay. Let's hope we don't find too many more.
Yeah.
So, where there's game, there's poaching. Happens all over the world. And here in Mozambique, it's a particular problem. Now, sometimes it's for poaching for food for the family, and other times it's just poaching for money. And what we found here is a poacher's shed, or shack, which is no further than a couple of kilometres away from camp, so they're getting pretty brave. So, Gavin's going to do us all a huge favour here and set fire to it.
There's a lot of work to be done in maintaining healthy herds of African game in the wilds of Mozambique, and JP Kleinens is doing a great job. Animal numbers are managed, weak and unhealthy game taken from the herds when hunting, and the local economy and standard of life has improved through the work done at Mahimba. Hunting isn't just about killing animals, it's about management, breeding programs, keeping herds healthy and ensure that there's African game around for the next generation. If we don't look after the environment and its inhabitants, who will?